that man does have the option to make it. He didn't know it, but now he has.
And we're at a very crucial moment now, and it's a very, very crucial, and it's a privilege to be alive, conscious, and able to participate at this particular time in the scenario of the evolution of universal consciousness. But as we say, as we refer to the old systems by which the planet's been operating, and we can have a sense of a new capability that's gleaned or able to be realized through mind's ability to perceive this, it's possible to conceive also that the great numbers of the general citizenry of the United States who perhaps might be viewing this particular program through an extended cable vision system linked through satellite capability, it might be difficult for them to realize that if their identities are, or their immediate securities are, wrapped up in the premises of the old organizing assumptions, the political structure of which they are a part, it might be that in a certain measure that system that people have been living by must be addressed by the new conscious. Must be the old reality in a sense must be dealt with, and in a sense, I have a feeling that it would have to be dealt with in a way we can ignore the old patterns by which we've been operating, or that we bring a process by which those in them will realize that they are able to participate and are part of this as well. Because if we're having a fundamental change, and if we have a condition from a historical condition and a dialectical pattern whereby a new system wiped out the old system that had been established, then those people in positions of responsibility for the old organizing assumptions of political leadership or whatever kind of position of leadership, fear the kind of change which is feeling abroad in the land, and that perhaps for the first time in the evolution of consciousness we have the opportunity by where, through a process of conscious understanding on their part of a transference from the condition of scarcity to surplus, but the fundamental change can happen in a mode where nobody loses, including those who've been responsible for the old way of doing things.
So I feel that our responsibility is to enlighten, elucidate, not ask anybody to believe, but show them why it is so, that there now can be enough. To realize then that that evolution, however, is at work, and you and I didn't invent that universe. We didn't invent that planet. We didn't invent those laws. There's something much bigger operating. The thing to do is to stand over and try to see what those are. Now, the things that are happening evolutionarily, we have politics everywhere. With the information system we have today, are becoming quite clearly highly corruptible. They're perfectly good human beings, but thinking's not enough to go around. Then playing tricks. How do you get? Well, you don't want to really kill the other man, but if you tell a lie, it's immoral if you do it for yourself, but it's moral if you do it for people who love, all those kinds of ways of temporizing with the truth. And man has been doing that. So poor little man, I see that politicians are now in such a bind.
Mr. Nixon, for instance.
Well, whatever it is, we don't have to say that. It's quite clear that politics are corruptible. That you can't get an office without buying it, all those things.
Yeah, more or less the way the country's set up.
No, but this was always true, you see. But now it's out in the open. So therefore we have a young world that's becoming disillusioned with the idea that how you get solve a problem is by politics. They're beginning to really say, how does this universe work? I see if we can get to the moon and then not lose a single human being on that kind of undertaking, and take experience. That's what we ought to be doing about how do we make that spaceship work. So there's a young world coming through, and I find that absolutely will not put up with lies. It's manifest of its abhorrence of any misrepresentation is most cheering of all the news we have.
That's not a generalized principle.
And each child is very much better informed than the ones before. Because when I was young, I was 8 years old when the Wright brothers flew, and up to the time, everybody says it's inherently impossible for man to fly. I was brought up under an incredible amount of misinformation, a great deal to get rid of. But these young people they're not all drowned with misinformation. They really learn. They say, I see Daddy and Mama listening to the radio too. Daddy used to be authority. He brought the news home, but he doesn't bring the news home anymore. They see that Daddy isn't the authority. Therefore, he's also emanating the voice of the people on the TV or the radio. And the kids are saying, I see then that Dad and Mom are not the authority. I love them very much. They love me. But I got to do my own thinking. This is the first generation saying, I'm going to do my own thinking. This is the great change, because if we do survive, it's because man is using his mind and doing his own thinking, not leaving it to somebody else.
Yeah, I know. I'm very much taken by the concept of synergy as behavioral systems unpredictable by the sum of its parts. And when I begin to think myself in terms of the means by which we might be able to make the transference consciously, I have the sensing that we must be, let's say, from the young world's position, who would look at the historical condition that has been inherited and the people who've been responsible for operating in systems which were established in the assumption of scarcity and in the general condition of ignorance by the people in those assumptions of scarcity, that there be a careful kind of appropriate to universal mind's functioning, that there be a careful means of including without excluding the elder members of our human family who have been operating within that historical condition, and that we tend not to see in any kind of way, if we can, personalized enemies or a political thing, but that we do see as the common enemy ignorance of the condition of which we've been evolving. So in that sense, I would
very sad for
the political people are caught within systems that, in a sense, it's not, we should not be too hard.
If you're vindictive,
yeah, you shouldn't be vindictive
you're trying to revenge and so forth, you're not making any contribution at all.
Right.
You've got to understand. In fact, I really feel very often sick in my heart about the poor politicians who are having the function historically of demonstrating that politics are corrupt.
I think the sooner that they could be
very sad matter.
The sooner they could be got to, I think the sooner they could be understood what it is that is transpiring, I think the sooner we would be able to begin to function in a way that could engage each of the citizenry of the planet, which it seems to me would be a maximal kind of engagement on the part of each of us, is a sort of part of a synergistic pattern by which we might find our place in the universe, so that we really do need to have the participation of everyone within the society in a way that is from inside, that they're part of it. So that would be, it's a tricky thing, and sometimes it's a transference that's hard for a lot of people to realize, but I think it's essential. So in a sense, the real question is to get to the people, the political, the responsible, the industrialists and so forth, with information as to how things can be done differently and why. We'll understand it, and then we can all go together. And then that would be, in itself, would be a process of education, or a process of getting the good information to people with economy of language and with integrity, and the system that respects the integrity and the economy of the language, and a means by which this process of national participation and consciousness raising could take place.
I feel that I'm going to have to interrupt, because I feel that you're going to have to, in order for those metals to recirculate. For instance, Japan has no iron mines. They become one of the great industrial countries because the United States puts so much armament in the Pacific. They're simply able to melt up those armaments, and there was their mine. In other words, Japan's economy goes on entirely on recirculating scrap. This is absolutely new. Man used to think of metals as being used up like strawberries, that they simply got eaten up. Not at all. They just do not get lost. And so we find every time we recirculate those metals, we have this higher, much more know-how. That's why we're able to increase that during all this last time. I feel that it's very, the whole idea of the nations, countries was it had to be you or me.
That's a scarcity assumption.
And if it's going to really work, it's going to be good. We have to absolutely become transcendental. But I find all the great corporations have now become transnational. And the great ideologies, and only the people are stuck back where they can be conscripted and taxed and so forth, rather than being able to really get to be world citizens. So we're going to have to see all the sovereignty is going to have to go in the next 10 years, next 12 years, if we're going to make it. And so that's quite evolution has quite a schedule of things that are going to become obsolete. And it's going to have to come, the going away of those nations and so forth becomes not something I said done away with because you don't like it. It's simply because it becomes irrelevant. And just simply not.
Or perhaps aspects of nationalism might be able to, the characteristics that are interestingly local characteristics might be amplified, or at least the ones that, it's interesting if I may pursue that. You're talking about the activities of the multinational corporations, we have had some programming and activity with people responsible for certain of the multinational corporations, and they have made it clear in their discussion that they are aware of their world-round responsibility. They have a world-round constituency and can begin to move outside of the constraints of the sovereign states, although they're also aware of that historical pattern. But this is an entirely new kind of world-round activity that they're having. And one thing, if I may, that they have indicated, or in some programs similar to this that we've done with them, they have indicated their understanding that the productive process has been in the recent time, and certainly the introduction of a surplus capability is the result of a technologically augmented productive system whereby the labor component to the productive process is steadily, or has been in the modern era, decreasing relative to the productive capability of technological systems introduced through man's metaphysical, intellectual capability into the design, and that it is the instrumentalities of technology which are increasingly producing wealth as opposed to labor. And they have indicated to me their interest in economic systems whereby the citizenry of host countries in which they're operating around the world might begin to have a different kind of relationship to the productive process in the area they're working, rather than strictly as laborers, but that they might have a direct relationship to the
that interacts and operates on many different levels. That's who you are. The avatar is the least of them, but that's where you gain your experience. So in that case, the avatar is very important because that's where you make choices. That's how you grow up and that's how you evolve. So that avatar is a very important part of it, but it's an expendable part. When the avatar's done, the avatar's done. The Free Will Awareness Unit goes back into the IUOC, which then integrates all of the experiences together and learns from them. So learning has to be a serial experience, not a parallel experience. Learning has to be cumulative. One learns through an accumulation of experience, and that's what the individuated unit of consciousness does. So you see, this question, who am I, has a lot of answers. Depends on your perspective. From the smallest perspective, you're an avatar. From the next higher one up, you're a Free Will Awareness Unit. From a bigger perspective yet, you're an individuated unit of consciousness, and a bigger perspective yet, you're one with everything. You're one with the larger consciousness system. So that's who you are. You're really, you took off the old block. You're a piece of that larger consciousness system. That's who you are. But that then interacts with other individuated units of consciousness. The individual unit of consciousness interacts with each other. That's part of the strategy of the larger conscious system evolving. That makes its evolution more efficient, more effective. So then you get to play that role, very important role. But still, that's like being in a big chat game. It's just exchanging information with other IUOCs. And there's not a lot of traction there on your choices. There's not a lot of consequences. So now you create a virtual reality in which a part of that IUOC can play in. And that's what the Free Will Awareness Unit is. You see, now I'm going up and back a couple of times so you can see how all these things relate. And the question, well, which is the real me? They're all the real you. All of them are the real you. They all have their limitations, though. The only one that is unlimited is the one where you're just one with the larger system. But you can experience through all of those ones. You experience the avatar. You can experience being the Free Will Awareness Unit. You can experience the IUOC. And you can experience being one with all. You have all those experiences because you are consciousness. Consciousness is part of all those things. So we think we're the avatar. We can sit down and meditate and we can get into a state where we feel like we are one with all. Well, that's just us in that larger perspective. We can also catch ourselves as what we sometimes call our higher self. Well, that's just an individuated unit of consciousness. That's us at that level. We can also catch ourselves at the our present life and our past lives. Well, that's just a bunch of Free Will Awareness Units. All those past lives. That's at that level. So we exist in all these levels. And we shouldn't feel they're attached to that avatar's relationships. You know, your beloved one, or your child, or your spouse, or your parent, or somebody that's particularly close to you. Want that particular relationship to last ever in this reality and out of this reality. That avatar dies. That IUOC returns. I mean, that free will awareness returns to the IUOC. And then you go on to something else. And that beloved other does the same thing. And they go on to something else. And that something else you may or may not get together. Now, you might agree to meet up and get together again sometime. That's possible. But for the most part, that's not what happens. For the most part, you look for what the next best incarnation is going to be, where you're going to learn the most and have the kind of challenges that suit you. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to throw away an optimum learning experience so that you can hang out. It's not about hanging out with other entities that you like. You know, that's what happens in the schoolyard, right? When the kids don't go to class, instead they hang out in the hall and they don't learn much. So that's not what you're here for. It's not about hanging out with your buds. It's about learning. You go on to another learning situation. It's kind of handcrafted just for us. And we may later on come up with some of the same consciousness again, but it's totally different. They're not the old avatar. See, Susie, your beloved spouse, or your sister, or your mother, when you meet her again, it's not Susie. Susie's gone. When Susie dies, her free will awareness unit gets absorbed again in its individual unit consciousness. So Susie only lives on in the database. Susie and everything she thought, felt, said, all of that, all of its different combinations and permutations exist in probability inside the database. So there you can go talk with Susie. Susie still exists as Susie was, and all the things she's on in the database. Otherwise, Susie as a consciousness, making free will choices, doesn't exist anymore. It just as you know. It's not real, see, and that's not the way it is actually. We're the virtual reality that's computed, and the consciousness is a lot more real. And you say that, oh, they have emotion, plus you can get information from them, like, well, you know, I hid, $1,000 under the floorboard at the back of the bedroom, you know, under where, you know, the northeast corner of the bedroom. And you can go back and tear up that floorboard, and sure enough, there's that money that was hidden there 200 years ago, and you're talking with your ancestor. Well, then that must be real because they had information about that. Well, it's still all information. It's just information. Of course that information is recorded, and yes, that database can give you that information. The emotions and feelings are also information, and they give you that information. And all of the attitudes, the ability to interact with things that are going on now. I see that you bought Susie a new bike. Okay, well that's commenting on a current event. Or they may comment on the results of an election, you know, or something like that. Well, of course, all of that is information. But the thing is, when that information comes to us in a way that feels physical to us, feels like we avatars are used to experiencing, then we say, oh, that's real. That has to be real because it's the emotion, it's the feeling, it's the accent, it's all the things. And even it's the visuals. The medium can say, well, I see a big man who's you know, heavy set with bushy eyebrows and wearing a plaid scarf. And the other person may say, wow, that's exactly right. He was big and heavyset, had bushy eyebrows, and his favorite thing of all was that he wore when he went out was his plaid scarf. That's got to be real. You see, well, the realness of it is just whether or not it resonates with our sense of what is real, and our sense of what is real is what our avatar has experienced. So, of course, the information is going to come that way. I mean, how would it be if you had a medium and the medium said, okay, I'm getting the picture. Let's see. I see a three-headed chicken, and it's speaking French, and it says that, you know, well, people would say, nah, that doesn't fit. That's not me. That's not him. He wasn't a three-headed chicken. This is crazy. You're incompetent, and they leave. So if the larger system is going to allow this kind of interaction with the database, it's going to do it in a way that seems real. You're going to get a whole